Let me start with two of my favorite lines कि सभी दिशाओं से शुभ सुंदर भाव विचार करे नित अंतर पुण्य धरा बन जाए स्वर्ग ये मेरे यत्नों से करुणा कर. What I'm trying to tell you here, whether
अस्सलामु अलैकुम, मैं ज़मीर अहमद अंसारी और आप देख रहे हैं जेड न्यूज़ फॉर यू। अर्ज़ यह है कि आपने अपने चैनल जेड न्यूज़ फॉर यू को अभी तक सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो सब्सक्राइब करें और साथ में दिए हुए बेल आइकन को भी दबाएं, जिससे हमारी आने वाली सभी वीडियोस के नोटिफिकेशन सबसे पहले आपको मिल सकें।
and his entire team, Sandeep Kanodia ji, Shivam Soni ji, for agreeing to host this conference here, extending all their support and for the beautiful arrangements here today. So thank you, sir. To introduce Mr. Sanjay Pant, he is a civil engineer, having graduated from Marg National Institute of Technology, Jaipur in 1987. He has a professional experience of 32 years and he has excelled in diverse fields of civil engineering and building. Throughout his career, he has contributed significantly to standardization in various civil engineering domains, including timber, bamboo, cement, concrete, and other building materials. Mr. Pant's contributions have been recognized in the form of numerous technical papers written and presented in national and international journals and seminars. His special achievements include the landmark revision of the Concrete Code IS 456-2000 and subsequent amendments. Mr. Pant's dedication and expertise have earned him several recognitions and honors. With his distinguished career and expertise, he is a valuable addition as a speaker in this conference, and we are grateful for his presence here today. May I invite Mr. Pant for his keynote address.
Thank you, Shalinji. Good morning to all of you, to the eminent experts and speakers in the conference, especially Shri Sandeep Marwaji, Chairman, Media and Entertainment Section Committee, SSP 13 of BIS, and Entertainment and AVGC Committee, PHD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Shalini ji, Ms. Shalini S. Sharma, Assistant Secretary General, PHD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. All the speakers of various sessions who are present here. Ms. Vrinda Sood, Ms. Supriya Suri, founder and producer, Mason Sood Entertainment. Shri Rajiv Malik, Dr. Mike Berry, Mr. Ujjwal Nirpurkar, Mr. Jay A. Bansali, Mr. Baljeet Singh Chatterjee, Ms. Archita Yesani, Sandeep Kanodia, my friend, Shivam Soni, the member secretary of the technical committee, my colleagues and ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm the most unfit person to be speaking on this subject, as my biodata was briefly mentioned by Shalini ji. But then there are two areas to be dealt with. One is media and entertainment, another is standardization. those who are experts in media entertainment, they need little discourse on standardization, and those on standardization who know nothing about media and entertainment. In fact, so I'll try to make it comfortable for everybody who are working in different areas. Why standards? Why standards at all? Everything is going on. A student of engineering studies engineering in civil engineering, mechanical, electrical, electronics, IT, different areas, and then there are standards. There are books are available, journals. Then why standards in these domains even? But then these have been identified, and standards have a long history of development. Standards set the benchmark. But then what is benchmark is to be decided by you. No, it is not that somebody else who is not from the field decides a benchmark for the people who govern, who work in the field. So standardization is a very beautiful area of activity. Once you start getting involved, you will love it, because you will set standards for yourselves. And standardization means what not to standardize. No, what is to be left to the discretion of the professionals. So today standards have become imperative worldwide for in all walks of life. They set minimum benchmarks for products, processes, systems and services. Standards have many aspects. If you are trying to understand standards, there can be a product standard for any product. You are seeing so many physical environment and products are there. There have to be standards. What are the minimum benchmarks so that they ensure safety, serviceability, and then performance, durability, longevity, and no defect, and then compatibility with the environment. So there have to be standards. Unless there are benchmarks for each of these, we may end up using a household product which is not compatible, which is unsafe, which may result in electric shock, which may harm somebody. So therefore standards are required for products. I think that is agreeable, and there are many standards, and these standards are certifiable, and these are available with ISI Marg with BIS certification. And so that is the story. But then there can be standards for terminology, how to communicate, what to communicate. The way you communicate, the way I understand the same communication. So there has to be. So the first development of standards starts with communication of or standardization of terminology. So we must understand. All professionals must understand the same term in the same way. And terms and definitions are the tools of the professionals. So if the two civil engineers are, for example, talking to each other, others may not understand, but they understand very well. So if two media people, so therefore there has to be a standardization of terminology. Then there are test methods to ensure conformity of product, to ascertain the performance, conformity, benchmarking, whether it has at all been happening or not. So there has to be a test method standard or analysis standard. But the one very important standards are code of practices, which is codes of good practices. What are the good ways of doing things? There can be not so good ways of doing things. Everybody does. If we have two children, both if you prefer giving certain work to one of them. Now why? Because the way he or she does. And there are good ways of doing things. And we all do the same thing in different ways. So but what is the good way of doing things? So these are codes of practices, codes of good practices. And for doing anything, in case of media and technology, you can visualize what all you do. Can we lay down certain set of practices which are better way of doing things? It's all encompassing, involving everybody, ensuring good results. Do it correct first time rather than depending on making mistakes, then correcting and wasting time and energy. And therefore there are codes of good practices. This is another type of standard. Then there are system standards like ISO 9000, quality management system, environment management system. But the most important, the new area that we are embarked about is services standards. Service standards come when there is a consumer interface. There is a service provider and there is a service recipient. And there is a service we are providing service for somebody for entertainment, for consumption, for use, for whatever purposes, for education. There is a coaching classes happening, but then whether the name is very big, the atmosphere is 5-star, but the actual content of coaching is very inadequate, and therefore whether the service has been delivered because it was air conditioned, well air conditioned, good indoor air quality will not mean that the education was also good. And therefore it is very important that benchmarks for services are set in appropriate cases, and for that purposes the BIS is embarked upon service sector standardization in large scale. The service sector department, which is headed by Mr. Sandeep Karoja, has already made more than 150 standards and more are on the anvil. There are 12 champion sectors which have been identified by the Government of India. These are IT and IT enabled services, medical value travel, transport and logistics, tourism and hospitality, accounting and finance, communication, legal, construction related engineering, environmental, financial, education, and one of them is audio visual services. To deal with standardization relating to services in the area of audio visual services, we have created a section committee, and for all other services also we have created section committees or technical committees. There are 20 technical committees to deal with all these areas. The overall main committee is called Services Sector Division Council, SSDC. Under this umbrella we have 20 services sector sectional committee or technical committee, and the most related on which we are today will be having a discussion is audio visual services section committee SSD 13, and headed by as its chairman Dr. Sandeep Marg, and we are really grateful to him for providing his services and leading from the front in developing standards in this particular area. And we have already developed 5 standards, and there are more subjects on the anvil under this area. Now SSD 13 is the scope of this committee envisions to provide or formulate standards in the area of media entertainment services providers in the areas of television, films, out of home OOH, OTT, radio, animation and visual effect, VFX, music, gaming, digital advertising, print media, live events and others. And my suggestion is that we may develop standards on to facilitate this industry. What may be hindering the progress of this industry, because up to certain level any industry can go on its own, but if we want to accept, there has to be outstanding standards to be approached. So we have to set a benchmark which is higher than the highest, and then so that you can try to approach that and everybody is taken along. There are some who are able to do themselves good. Their personal standards is very high. So as you know, standards have different levels: personal standard, individual standards, company standards, association standards, national standards, regional standards, and international standards. So some have very high personal standard. Maybe by virtue of somebody's individual standard, somebody excels, but the entire excellence has not come to the industry. So therefore, it is important that we take everybody along, rather than leaving it to the people, and so that we have such benchmarks wherever they are needed, and we do not have standards or over standardization wherever these are not needed. And we can develop guidelines, not only benchmarks, but simply guidelines to guide, to recommendatory in nature, which are recommendatory in nature in the form of should, and then we can have, as I already said, terminology, we can have certifiable standard also if you want, and we grow with confidence. And for this purpose, I would suggest that we can debate under various sessions and finally come out with various working groups subsequently under the chairmanship of Dr. Marwa, various small working groups of 4, 5, 7 people who would be working in different areas, and we identified some 20 subjects to work upon to start with, create different working groups for each of them and start working on that. I think with that I once again welcome all of you to this event, and personally I'm grateful to all of you for having made it possible to come to BIS venue, and as a host we love your presence, and we would be enchanting that in times to come, and we thank you for your participation and look forward to today's session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. That was an excellent overview of standards. You know, the way you explained so lucidly, sir. Standards for products are easy to create, comprehend, and disseminate. But standards for services is something which is new for BIS also, and especially in media and entertainment. This entire conversation of creating standards, which has just started, is going to give rise to several beautiful practices and quality benchmarks, and we would be grateful to have the partnership of BIS on this, sir. We would work on your suggestion of creating smaller working groups. We will work under the guidance of Dr. Sandeep Marg and create these working groups and work on the outcomes. I now invite Dr. Sandeep Marg, who is a holder of 9 world records. He is the founder of Noida Film City and Marga Studios. He is the founder president of AFP, which is one of the 10 best schools in the world. As producer of the largest number of short films in the world, he has been associated with innumerable feature films, television programs, and amateur training films. He has been felicitated with over 1,000 national and international awards for his contribution to the creative industry. He has trained over 20,000 media students from 145 countries. He has been the chairman of this Media and Entertainment Committee in BIS under the Ministry of Consumer Affairs. He is also on the board of the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Skill Development. And PhD Chamber is honored to have him as the chairman of the Entertainment and AVGC Committee. In fact, it is because of his guidance and his presence as the chair that we have been able to actually create this conversation on standards in media and entertainment. I now invite Dr. Sandeep Marg for his address.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for a wonderful introduction. I'm obliged. Humbled. Good morning, everyone. What a pleasure to be here this morning at BIS with such a beautiful auditorium with all of you today. I'm very happy, very excited about this whole affair. Let me take this wonderful opportunity to extend my heartiest thanks to BIS for hosting this meeting. Let me start with 2 of my favorite lines. कि सभी दिशाओं से शुभ सुंदर भाव विचार करे नित अंतर पुण्य धरा बन जाए स्वर्ग ये मेरे यत्नों से करुणाकर. What I'm trying to tell you here, whether it is north, south, east or west, whether you're in India or abroad, whether you are on the top of the hill or you're standing at a seashore, whether you are in a lush green garden and looking at some colorful flowers, or maybe looking at the most beautiful woman on earth, the fact is there are 2 things which are much more beautiful than what you can see with your naked eyes. And these 2 things are your thinking and your feelings. And the best part is that both the things are right within you. You don't even need eyes for that. On this very auspicious day, let's pray, hey Lord, give me good thinking, give me good feelings so that I can do good deeds. And through my good karmas, I would love to convert this earth into heaven. This is what I believe. I'm sure you will also believe in the same. Well, I'm very happy to be here. This is exactly 3.5 years back when I was asked to chair this most powerful committee, Media and Entertainment, SSD 13 at Bureau of Indian Standards, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, and I took this as a wonderful opportunity once again to work for the nation. And this is a long time pending job, which I thought it should have been a part of M&E industry, but BIS has taken at its own responsibility, and I thought all the industry as well as BIS can join hands together and can do wonders. I'm very happy that BIS committee, now we have something like 60 very important people from different parts of the country, from different segments of the media and entertainment industry, who's who of the industry, and we are working on this rigorously, wholeheartedly. Let me address the dice, respected Sanjay Panji, Shalini ji, Alfredo, the Charge d'Affaires of Embassy of Venezuela, Ashok Tyagi ji, Ujjwal ji. Let me, I would love to bring down overall picture of this industry, which is very important for all of you, because not many people know that media and entertainment industry is probably one of the biggest industry of the world. If you make a sum total of all the industries of the world, you'll be surprised that the glamour industry is the biggest industry of the world. When it comes to India, we are the 6th biggest industry in this country. Today, I'm very happy to say that we are now about to touch 4 lakh crore rupees turnover by 2025. So this is the kind of business which we've been conducting in this industry. The whole GDP of the country is touching 7% per annum, whereas the contribution of media and entertainment industry is something like 12 to 14%. And are the few segments which have grown at the rate of 25% per annum when I talk about AVGC. And that's one of the reasons that Government of India and Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, they have created AVGC, a new segment in media and entertainment industry, because that's what going to bring in lots of money, lots of business, lots of employment in the coming years. Well, this 6th biggest industry, let me put into some major segments. The first, oldest and a very well-known segment is a print media. And you'll be surprised that this is one country where we have 40,000 newspapers in this country. The largest number of newspapers in any of the languages, thanks to the objections created by Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, where the first step of standardization came in. And we proposed them that too many papers are flourishing in the market with no circulation. And now you know what I'm trying to touch that. So there were few papers we used to print 10, 20, 30 copies, and they used to get a beautiful fund from Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and they were not the real newspapers. Rather, I must say they were the bogus newspapers because they had no circulation. And I'm happy that around 5,000 newspapers had to close down, which were running in the last government tenure. And in this last 6, 7, 8 years, we've been able to stop all those 5 newspapers, because you have to be serious when it comes to news. You have to have circulation when you talk about newspaper. You cannot publish 10, 20 copies for advertisers and start collecting advertisements and telling people that I am the editor of a so-and-so newspaper. So I'm happy that ministry took a very bold step, and all these bogus newspapers who were only there to collect advertisements and not to spread the right news in the country were closed down. This is how we thought, and this gave a second thought, probably at least to our group, that's very important to have standards in media and entertainment industry. A small proposal came with the BIS, and probably less than a second, they decided that yes, this is the right thing to go ahead with. Well, today we have the largest number of magazines. We are printing newspaper and magazine in almost 28 different languages. And the best part is that India is the only country in the world today where new licenses are being given to publish newspapers. And that shows the growth of the nation, because people used to tell us as an illiterate nation. This is the one country where literacy is growing in a much, much better rate. And that's the reason that people, they need to have newspapers in their own languages, but with little standard of publishing and the standard of the publication. When it comes to radio, which is the second very important segment of media and entertainment industry, we have something like 325 radio stations, and it all started with All India Radio, and there was a time when we used to listen to Radio Ceylon even after, because Indian radio station used to close down at 10:30. So if we really wanted to listen to radios, we used to go for Radio Ceylon. We used to tune that Radio Ceylon to get Hindi numbers from there. Well, We have grown much bigger in radio station, and thanks to our Honorable Prime Minister, who has brought once again radio station into a big limelight after this wonderful program Man Ki Baat, which is the largest acceptable program today in the country on radios. And luckily, because I'm running 3 radio stations myself, Radio Noida, Radio Raipur and Radio Mumbai. So I've gone through the whole process of the importance, downfall and the rise of radio stations in India. Yes, in Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, we divided the whole radio station into 2 major segments. One, the commercial radios, and second, the community radios. And community radios, we made it a point that they must be given a support from the Government of India so that they can run these stations comfortably with support, with less license fees, with less restrictions, with less payments to industry for songs and things like that. And Government of India took our point very seriously. I'm very happy that community radio stations are coming up, and this file also went up to the PM, and he has now asked Ministry of Information and Broadcasting to go ahead with another 100 community radio stations in this country. So the whole department has become very serious when it comes to radio station, and I feel very happy every month when even my radio station, when it gets tuned to Man Ki Baat, and we feel very happy to broadcast the Prime Minister's message to the nation. When I talk about television, I'm sure all of you have seen this journey from your own bedroom, from drawing room to bedroom, and on bedroom to laptop. Yes, imagine from 1 DD Doordarshan to 2 DD2 to 950 channels today we have in this country. Imagine. Largest number of channels we are broadcasting from this nation, and I'm proud to say that we have largest number of news channels in the world today. More than 18, 19 news channels in 28 different languages, which are being broadcast to the nation and spreading best of the news possible. So we can well imagine every Indian is today well aware what is happening in the country, what is happening in the world, what is happening in their own local city. That's because awareness is the most important thing or a part of literacy. So we, in Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, that time we realized that if people can't read much, at least they can listen and see the news, and they can be more alert. The sole purpose of Press Council of India, when it was created in 1955, was to inform people, to educate people, and to entertain people. These are the 3 major principles of media and entertainment, rather media services to the nation. All these stations then opened, they broke down, they couldn't work, they run for many years. Obviously, because it's a free market and you have to, it's a survival of the fittest. If you are up to the mark, if you can convince your audience that you are the best, you will survive. If you have that kind of standard, obviously people will not spare you and they will stop seeing you. And once they stop seeing your programs, you will automatically pack your bags. When it comes to cinema, well, I'm 100% sure everybody knows that India is the largest film producing country in the world. We make around about 2,000 films in 28 different languages, and there are about 10 million people who are working in media and entertainment industry. That's what I just forgot to tell you. We are 10 million people who are working in this industry, and this industry is supporting another 10 million people from other industries. Like, for example, the engineering, the electricals, the hospitality, tourism, interior designing industry. Then it is supporting the transport industry. So once media and entertainment industry becomes active, it supports another 10 million people. So imagine the importance of media and entertainment industry in this country. When I was talking about cinema, we are the largest film producing country in the world. Pre-COVID, we were working with 10,000 theaters in this country. Unfortunately, after all these 3-4 years of setback, we are now only available with 7,000 theaters right now. 3,000 theaters had to cut a very sorry figure, who could not survive, could not sustain for that long without business. And then the pre-pandemic figures are that approximately 1 crore people used to go to theaters to see cinema. Can you imagine? 1 crore people, 10 million people watching cinema every day, which is the total population of a country like Hungary, Netherlands, Switzerland. Some of them are even less than that. Imagine the whole country sitting in theater and watching cinema every day. This is the level and the strength of Indian cinema. And we are the largest ticket selling country in the world. We used to sell 5 billion tickets in a year, whereas Hollywood has been selling only 3.5 billion tickets in a year. So you can well imagine the quantum of business. Fortunately, the ticket price has always been very low in comparison to US, so we could not touch that kind of a turnover. But the quantum wise, we've been number one again in the world as far as cinema is concerned. And then the next was, of course, earlier we used to say new media. And when I used to say new media, we used to touch the graphics and animation. We used to touch the internet part and especially the mobile. And you know that today we are one country with largest number of mobiles. We have something like 1.4 billion mobiles right now. And I think by next year, or maybe end of this year, we will also take over China as far as number of mobiles are concerned. We've already taken we are now the largest populated country in the world. We have taken over China. And in mobiles, we are second right now, but probably just a matter of another 6 months. And the country of India is going to have largest number of mobiles. And the best part is that out of all those mobiles, 60% of the mobiles are smartphones. That means they are associated with the media and entertainment industry. And people are watching films, people are clicking photographs, they are making movies, they are entertaining themselves from different apps and so on. But once again, I would like to add on here that Government of India decided to have this segment, a very special segment, and they have given a new name to it, AVGC. And with this AVGC committee, the new segment of media and entertainment industry is growing fastest right now out of all the segments we have in media and entertainment industry. Now, I'm giving you an overall picture of this media and entertainment in India. And we are the fourth biggest media and entertainment industry of the world. Imagine the kind of a business we've been creating. Now, coming down to today's topic, yes, when we have so much to do in one single industry, it's very important to control in best of the manner. Control does not mean that we're trying to stop people working or ask them to work according to our own whims and wishes, but idea is to bring in standards into the system. And where BIS, this beautiful building of Manak Bhawan comes in. And this is one of the best departments of Government of India, which has been doing so systematically. And they have to be. Because if they are not systematically, if they are not keeping their standards, how can they convince rest of the industries or rest of the ministries to come into standards? Well, I go back 1993 when I started the first private film school of this country under the name and banner of Asian Academy of Film and Television. That was the first time, after exactly 6 months, I applied for ISO. I still remember in 1993, because I came here and they said we have nothing like this as far as media or entertainment or film school is concerned. I went to other ministries. They all said we have nothing to do with media and entertainment right now. So I had to go to ISO to get myself attested, because I had full confidence the way I projected, the way I started that film school, and first in the private sector. And people also wanted to be very sure about whether this private school may have standards or not. So I got my attested by ISO. They were amazed. They say, this is the first film school we are actually attesting in the world. Because that time there were only 100 film schools all over the world. And most of them were governed by the government of those countries. Not very little schools all over the world run by private organizations. And they were amazed that you are even applying, because they thought that film school means jhalli patti. लंबे बाल होंगे, बिखरे होंगे, निक्कर पहनी होगी, नंगे पांव चप्पल में घूम रहे होंगे, all those kind of feelings what they could create. And when they entered into Marg Studios and AFT, they were amazed to see that we all are very spick and span, to the point, absolutely organized. Everything is on time, and everything is like a military school. And they said, we have no objection in giving you ISO certification. We became the first film school attested by ISO in the world. So that kind of, so you can well imagine now that since 1993, I've been thinking about bringing standards into the industry, because I have suffered a lot. People, they have misused timings, positions, equipments, setups, studios in the name of creativity. And I have always been talking that being a creative is one thing, and you can only be successful in creative industry if you are well organized. If you're well organized. If you're not well organized, probably best of the films can see the disaster. But if you're well organized, you know how to go ahead with the system, go ahead with the proper channel, you're bound to be successful, whatever you're going to touch, and even in this industry. And I'm so thankful to BIS for creating this beautiful SSD 13 and made me 3 years back in charge. I'm very happy that I got my also extension from the ministry for the next 3 years. So I'm going to be here for the next 3 years. And I'll see to it that all those standards which we have started here, they must be completed in the next, in this my tenure. And we will give you the best of the things possible from this good office. And trust me, we are creating history in media and entertainment industry by setting standards. With all these words, thank you very much once again, the board, for giving me so much of time. I was not supposed to speak so much, but I couldn't stay back. I have a lot to speak in this industry. I can speak for another 4 or 5 hours. But then, yes, this is enough for the day to brief you, to give you an idea, to induce you, and to motivate you to start speaking, because this is going to be an interactive session and we want you to participate today. Speak out your heart, speak out your mind, whatever comes to your mind, because you never know, one good point coming from you can actually change the destiny of the media and entertainment industry. With all these words, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Dr. Marwa. Your passion is always so inspiring, and it really motivates all of us to do so much more than we are able to do. I now invite Mr. Alfredo Caldera, Charge d'Affaires, Embassy of Venezuela. Alfredo, I don't have any introduction for you to give, so you'll have to tell us about yourself.
One word is enough.
Yes.
He's representing the President of Venezuela.
Yes.
Buenos días, good morning, namaste. Thank you for opportunity for share about my country, share some dates and some experience about the media and cinema to Venezuela. Venezuela is a country in the north of South America, nestled in the Caribbean Sea, with more than 30 million inhabitants. It's a brilliant entertainment and media industry. Shelters and legal framework signed the Constitution of the Bolivian Republic of Venezuela, where there are articles that give constitutional character to culture, guarantee freedom of creation, defend cultural identity, and instruct to the state to establish policies for cultural development. Additional, for the entertainment and media industry, there are 2 organic laws. The National Cinematography Law was proposed to develop, promotion, dissemination, and protection of national cinematography and cinematographic work, understood as the visual or audiovisual message on the iconic image organized in the school, which attaches to any support have the possibility to be exhibited by the mass media from the National Autonomous Cinematographic Center, created by the Venezuelan state as the governing body for the films and audiovisual media perform. This is Field Board to Venezuela. And the main person in charge of the national cinematography activity. In charge of cinematography activity, formulate policies and implementing action aiming at stimulation, regulation, and developing the audiovisual industry in Venezuela. It's important to highlight to this film board is made up of representatives of those involved in the cinema value chain in the country, with both governmental and private representation. This is very important for us because it's a democratic, for organized political policies to the state of cinematography is a democratic bureau. It's very important for us. Within the cinematography law, the creation and operation of a parafiscal fund is established, which penalizes and poor participants in the film business than always financing from production, distribution, exhibition, training, and other policies. This is very important because this is in English. The body to the industry, because for example, in this moment, it's $4 million. This is for our countries. It's very, very budget important. It's a regulate for this parafiscal creation. This is important to point out the Venezuela activity participate in the Ibero-American organization in Ibero-American film authorities, which developed policy for the film and audiovisual sector and has a financial fund co-production, production in the region, but the aiding for projects production, post-production and distribution. Regarding public policies of the sector, it is important to highlight that work is being done to generate policies for the incentives for production directed by women or with feminine times. On the other hand, production for the students and male young people. This is a very important policies to the Ibero-American religion for organize, for generous films, for feminists, for children. This is very, very important in this moment for Ibero-Americans. Regarding public policies on the sector, regarding the media, there is so-called law of social responsibility in radio and television. The purpose of this law is the establishment in the dissemination and reception of the message, the social responsibility of the radio and television service provider, advertising, independent national producer and user, to foster a democratic balance between their duties, rights and interests, and other promoting social justice and contribute to the formation of citizenship, democracy, peace, human rights, cultural, education, health, and the social and economic development of the nation. The law establishes programming time slot, where there is a longer time slot for children programming and the country the premiere to slot to the 7 to 10 p.m. In Venezuela, in reference to TV, there is a pay cable TV, open TV, with national coverage and open TV channel with regional coverage, satellite TV, digital TV, and national and international streaming operation. Some data about the Venezuela. The large consumption in the country is paid television with 3 million users, and the company is a national capital. The market is linked to Simple TV, company with 1 million clients. It's a small market. In comparison to the India, for our country, it's interesting, no? In Latin America. For India, companies is very small. Then the state, in the second position, Inter with 553,000. Then the state company CanTV with 261,000. Movistar with 180,000 and Net Uno with 94,000. In relation to service access technology, satellite TV has 59% of the market, compared to 41% for cable TV. 2 years before, for example, direct TV is linked to Venezuela. It's only the capital and all the operator to cable or all the operator to satellite TV is the national capital, because the sensation, etc. It is many companies live, and the capital national organize all the market to the capital. There are another date. There are 23 open signal channels with national coverage, 14 with open signal or regional coverage. There are 4 national streaming operators, 3 private and 1 state. In a streaming, it's interesting because after the pandemic, for a private person organized streaming to Venezuela. The problem is the Venezuelan people no in this moment no see good the streaming national streaming because the marketing, for example, the bigger platform, American platform, for example, is the marketing is very strong, and the people to Venezuela, to the streaming to Venezuela is it's a good programming, but needed more marketing for the people. Regarding to the cinema market, there are 2 large exhibition chains with a presence in the state capital with than 1 million inhabitants, with a concentration of theater in Caracas, the country capital. The exhibition business is likened to the existence of rooms in the main malls, with rooms 100 spectators per screen, maximum of the 10 rooms per circuit. There is a circuit of movie theater and cultural installation, so an association with the National Cinematheque and other private. This is important because it's a very strong circuit of cinema, the cultural circuit. It's in all the countries. It's a parallel to the commercial countries. It's important to point in Venezuela, the largest participation in the exhibition market is the leader for producer at home. This is the same to Latin America. The 99 exhibition movies is a Hollywood. In the year 2020 and 21, 10 Venezuelan films were released. In the year 2022, 27 Venezuelan films were released. It's for example, to compare to India market, it is very important for us. It's very important because it's before the crisis, economic crisis, before the pandemic crisis, etc. For us, it's very important. 27 screen Venezuelan screen in a market is very important for us. From the SENAC, the film Golden, the film of Venezuela, 109 projects have been approved in their different modalities since 21. This is very important because it's 109 projects to movies, to producer movies in the country. The country has the potential of technical, logistical, and aesthetical resources to favor co-production and extraordinary landscapes to imitate audiovisual creation. In a state film production company that allows the facility of film called La Villa del Cine and an audiovisual content distribution called Amazonia Films. In the same way, there is a network of private audiovisual production companies throughout the country, ready to make and project a reality. Venezuela is a country open to the future, and we were waiting for you to get to know its audiovisual destination. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfredo. It was interesting to know that the scenario in Venezuela is so different from India. We made 2,000 films, Venezuela makes 27 films, but it's still a very important partner for India from the perspective of co-production and the exchange of standards and that kind of conversation. With that, we come to the end of the inaugural session. May I request Mr. Pant to please present a memento of appreciation to Mr. Alfredo Calderon first. May I request Mr. Pant to present a memento to Mr. Sandeep Marg? thank you, Mr. Pant, for gracing this session. For this.
On the basis of caste, creed, religion, region, status, color, rich, poor. We have always believed in one dharma, one religion, growth with entertainment. That's our religion. But still I have gone out of way to divide the society on the basis of these three major segments. कि काम शुरू करते नहीं भाई से नीचे लोग. People who have 100 excuses for one job, I have categorized all these kind of people into the downtrodden people of the society. Because they are the black snakes, they don't work, they will never let you work. They don't grow, they will never let you grow. मध्यम तजते बीच में देख विषम संयोग. Who are the people who belong to B class, middle class, with little push and pull, with little enthusiasm? Probably they may get into work, they may start a job, but the minute they see a bit of the hindrance, they try to run away from the battlefield. All B class. पर उत्तम वे लोग जो हर दुर्गम पथ छे. Who are the people who belong to first class? People who have zest, enthusiasm, excitement to do something good. People who want to achieve something in life. People who have goals in life. People who are hardworking, honest to their profession. People who really want to prove to the world that yes, I can do it. I have categorized all these kind of people into the first category because they are the people who ultimately turns out to be the achievers of the society, achievers of the country, achievers of the world. And what a pleasure that today I'm sharing this dice where there's such an important people. Let's give a big hand to all the panelists here, the big achievers of the industry. Now, 30 years. I mean, I've just uttered in my first note that I started the first private film school of this country. When I got into training part of media and entertainment industry, I was the first in private sector, fourth in the country. There were only 3 more institutions in this country: FTI Pune, Madras Film School, and Jamia. Unfortunately, FTI was going through a very bad phase of strikes, teachers' strike, management strikes, student strikes. Madras Film School, when I visited there, I was shocked to see there was no director for many years. And when I checked up with Jamia, they say we can't deal with films and television. I mean films that time, and they turned towards journalism. They started getting into journalism that time, and so I was the only one who were that time talking about cinema, talking about films, and so on. Well, there's a beautiful rise in the demand of skilling for media and entertainment industry because we are not talking about only print, radio, television, cinema, new media, theme parks, events. We're talking about music and so on. So there are now almost 10 segments when we talk about media and entertainment industry, and I'm so happy that it has taken me almost 30 years to convince to the people of this industry that when you don't entertain an uneducated guy into medical industry, how can you entertain an uneducated guy into media and entertainment industry, which is equally sensitive? Yes, people don't die here. I mean, you can't allow not even an MBBS to enter into operation theatre. So I think that is a kind of a theory which I created in this whole industry, and people realized, yes, if you really want to have good programs, good setup, good base for anything, a good environment, you need to have educated, trained experts in this industry. I'm very happy. We have 3 very important people right now here with us, and I have my own ideas. I'll keep on poking my nose after a while. But then let's start with Ashokji. Should we start with you? Ashok Tyagi, who's been in cinema. He's produced some of the beautiful films, which obviously he's going to tell right now, and how he's been tackling this kind of a subject in the industry itself. Let him speak.
Thanks a lot, Sandeep ji. सबसे पहले यहाँ पे सबको हिंदी समझ में आती है? हाँ जी आती है। कोई है ऐसे जिनको दिक्कत होती हो? आपसे क्या होगा कि जो माहौल चल रहा है वो थोड़ा सा आत्मीय हो जाएगा और बातें जो है वो टू दी पॉइंट हो जाएगी, क्योंकि अभी तक we are on the periphery, we are not coming to the center of the issue. अब यहाँ पे बातें हो रही हैं, OTT की बातें हो रही हैं, कोई सैटेलाइट की बातें हो रही हैं. आई विल गो बैक टू दी ओरिजिन्स ऑफ दिस. मैं बीच बीच में इंग्लिश भी अच्छी ठीक ठाक बोल लेता हूँ, तो बोलूंगा. वो मैंने पूछा था इसलिए क्योंकि आई बिलोंग टू हिंदी सिनेमा और कई बार ऐसी अपनी बात को प्रस्तुत करने के लिए मुझे हिंदी में बोलना पड़ेगा. जैसे कि सबसे बड़ी बात है आज की तारीख में, इशू है ग्लोबलाइजेशन. आज की तारीख में ग्लोबलाइजेशन सबसे OTT ये वो स्टैंडर्ड है. आज हमको 8 बिलियन पीपल हैव टू लर्न टू लिव पीसफुली टुगेदर. दैट इज द इशू नंबर 1. और सारी की सारी जो स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन है वो वहां से स्टार्ट होगी. करेक्ट. तो क्या समस्या है इस वक्त विश्व के सामने? समस्या ये है कि we only know how to live with one religion, with one language, with one culture, and most of the countries have been formulated and formed and have existed on the basis of these, nationality की जब भी बात की गई थी. तो लेकिन when globalization will take place, then it has to be multicultural, multilinguistic, multi-religious. और इसकी एक ही एग्जाम्पल है पूरी दुनिया में, वो है हिंदुस्तान, भारतवर्ष. तो सबसे पहले तो पूरी दुनिया को अभी फॉलो करना पड़ेगा the vision that was envisaged by our forefathers, by our ancestors. एंड उसको मैंने बोल दिया कि सर सबसे ऊपर तो जब हम दिशा का निर्देशन करेंगे उस तरफ देखेंगे, उस तरफ. और उसमें मैं बताऊं जिस सिनेमा को मैं बिलोंग करता हूं, आप हैरान होंगे 1960 में एक फिल्म आई थी और उसने बहुत बड़ी बॉक्स ऑफिस. ऐसा नहीं था कि कोई, और उसमें कहा है जो जिससे मिला सीखा हमने, गैरों को भी अपनाया हमने, मतलब के लिए अंधे होकर रोटी को नहीं पूजा हमने, बच्चों के लिए जो धरती माँ सदियों से सभी कुछ सहती है, हम उस देश के वासी हैं जिस देश में गंगा बहती है. और मेहमान जो हमारा होता है, हॉस्पिटैलिटी, मेहमान जो हमारा होता है वो जान से प्यारा होता है. और ज्यादा का नहीं लालच, हमको थोड़े में गुजारा होता है, बच्चों के लिए जो धरती माँ सदियों से सभी कुछ सहती है. तो ये जो ग्लोबलाइजेशन का कॉन्सेप्ट था, दिस वाज बीइंग प्रोजेक्टेड. नाउ आई विल क्विकली कम बैक टू दिस टेक्नोलॉजिकल प्रॉब्लम एंड come to the core issue of the content, whether we are making silent films or we are making talkies, because when talkies came, the silent cinema was threatened. When television came, the talkies were threatened. When something else came, the satellite OTT has come, satellite is being threatened. And all these speakers are continuously talking about the issues of the distribution and the exhibition. कि साहब OTT में ऐसा हो गया है कि फ्लेक्सिबल टाइम हो गया है तो ऐसा हो जाए. पर ये जो कंटेंट है, ये OTT का क्या अलग है, क्या सैटेलाइट का अलग है, क्या सिनेमा का अलग है, क्या सिंगल स्क्रीन का अलग है, क्या मल्टीप्लेक्स का अलग है? उसके अंदर क्या है? उसके अंदर एक विजुअल है और उसके साथ में एक साउंड है. और जो साउंड और जो विजुअल है वो इंटरलिंक्ड है, इंटरलॉक्ड है. वो आज के 1000 साल बाद भी बजेगा तो वही सिंक्रोनिसिटी में बजेगा जिसमें आज बज रहा है. आलम आरा पिक्चर आप देखते जाओगे 1931 में जैसी दिखाई दी थी वैसे ही अभी दिखाई देगी. तो इट इज द इंटरलॉकिंग ऑफ विजुअल एंड साउंड्स. और सारा का सारा स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन हैज टू बी देयर कि हाउ आर वी गोइंग टू नरेट स्टोरीज, एंड स्टोरीज कैन बी जनरलिस्टिक स्टोरीज ऑल्सो. ये बार बार इतनी बातें, स्लाइस ऑफ लाइफ है जी, रियलिटी है जी, उसमें क्या नई बात है यार, कहानी है. हाँ सर, स्किलिंग पे आ रहा हूँ सर. स्किलिंग, आप बच्चों को कैमरा चलाना सिखा दोगे, एडिटिंग की मशीन चलाना सिखा दोगे, डायरेक्शन देना करना सिखा दोगे, क्लैप बोलना सिखा दोगे, पर व्हाट विल दे डू विद ऑल दैट? इट इज लाइक ट्रेनिंग अ डॉक्टर who says, I know how to run an X-ray machine, I know how to ये स्टेथोस्कोप का मुझे पता है, but I don't know how to treat a patient. बात ये हो रही है कि skilling has to be done. Skilling is taking place very well and people are getting skilled. but the skilling, ultimately will have an objective. And as far as the skilling is concerned, AAFT has done a remarkable job and is continuously doing a remarkable job, and it can offer its expertise to everybody. I think जितना standardization skilling के अंदर AAFT में हुआ है उतना कहीं नहीं हुआ है, और उसका सब लोग लाभ उठा सकते हैं, एंड उससे ज्यादा तो स्किलिंग पे मेरे पास कुछ नहीं।
मैं समझ गया कि आपका मूड इस वक्त जो है वो कंटेंट पे डिस्कस करने का ज्यादा है।
नहीं,
Also, we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. Well, the fact is that if I go back 30 years when I got into training part for media and entertainment candidates, and I realized it's very important to have a film studio associated with our film, television, and media training. Very important. Because that's kind of a quote which I mentioned with the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and they couldn't even pay heed that time what I'm talking. They say, "ठीक है, जो करना करिए." We had no standards to look into even in film schools, because they had 3 earlier. Ministry had 3 earlier at their responsibilities, and all 3 were going through a bad phase. So they said no interest, unfortunately, except breaking the strikes and paying good charges to the faculty so that they should not have strike for the second time. And it was a very big responsibility on my shoulders how to plan our standardized our standards into film, television, media, art and culture training. And the first thing which I, as I said, proposed that any and every film school must be associated with a running film studios like a hospital attached to medical training. And that will give the students a 360-degree exposure of the industry. They'll come to know what exactly media training is all about, and a point which Ashok Tyagi has very well pinpointed, that if they are not emotionally carved out, if they are not sensitive towards the requirement of the audience, then only learning camera or editing or acting or other disciplines, they are useless to the media persons. And you made it a point that we must evoke emotions into all those people who are trying to get into films, television and media, this media and entertainment industry. They must be sensitive towards nation. They should be sensitive towards human requirements. They should be compassionate. They should be alert what is happening around India and abroad. And that gave a beautiful setup to AFTNs, because I can only talk about AFTNs. The only thing which I know is that the former principal of FTI, late Jagat Murari, who was on my board after retirement, and LP Shah, the first production teacher of FTI, was also on my board for first few years, because when they joined me, they were 80. They left this world when they were 93. And I've dealt with those two giants that time, and I learned what is not required in media, film and entertainment training. What is not required, because they had committed a lot of mistakes during their tenure, and they cautioned me that please don't get into these things if you really want to be successful, because we have already burned our hands. So I'm recollecting today, after so many years, these two names who helped us, because that means what is required in skill development, the experience, past experience of filmmakers like Ashok Tyagi. People who have dealt with the people, who have dealt with the manpower resources, people who have dealt with these situations, and they have to break their heads during making of the cinema, making of any media production or any of the entertainment production. They say, what a waste of time teaching these, I don't want to use any non-parliamentary word, for these people, and wasting time when you are paying probably tons of money per hour on that. And that's the reason that skilling in media and entertainment industry became not only necessary but essential part of the industry. Well, we're coming back to, I'll speak again, but Rajiv sir, may I request you to please give your point of view on this subject?
Yeah,
Uh, Thank you, everybody, and thanks, Dr. Sandeep. It's a pleasure, on this dais. And thanks to Ms. Shah. So I come from a technology background. I've been within industry, media and entertainment industry since last 25 years. And since last 5 to 6 years, I've been in hardcore AVGC industry, where what we're talking about. And the first educational institution in this media and entertainment was the Asian Academy, my personal, involvement and development. And even if somebody is asking me which are the top most educated, that will be the first name which will come in my mind. So now talking about AVGC, I was just talking to Dr. Mike. We were talking about technology. So it is rapidly growing. What we are discussing now, what we have right now in the hand, after 1 year it will be a different scenario. So in skilling, I feel technology. There are many aspects. I'm sure there's a gap which is already recognized between education sector and the actual industry. This is already recognized. So minimizing the gap is beyond that one of our major goals. But from technology perspective, I feel that can play a very major role, important role, and being a backbone, and that too with a constant upgrade. For example, now when we are now in last 1 year, a major shift has happened towards artificial intelligence, and the artist community what we have in India, more than on our platform itself, we have more than 100k artists associated with us who have been trying to upgrade themselves. So we have been, Qualcomm as a company, we have been trying to connect them with the industry and give them the guidance, and that happened mainly during COVID period, that kind of connect. But we found there that, demand is there. Those studios were asking us, that platform was being utilized for this, and those artists got the opportunity. But it's nothing to be discussed. We all know standardization is required to minimize the gap. On the other hand, when we talk about technology, artists, when they are producing their content, slightly different than a broadcast part of it. That's what AVGC differentiates from the filmmaking part. The independent artist who's creating his own content, it goes to several platforms, or if he's into analog part, traditional art, he's just limited to one canvas, one paper, right? Or he's creating a nice animation digitally, or creating comics. He doesn't have a right platform which is standard where he can approach. And most important, is that content secure? How he can grow? How that content can be standard? How he can be at the level where he knows that whatever he's producing is safe through the blockchain technologies, what we have. And so standardization, I feel those companies who are into technology and what they are learning right now, after 1 year they will require a major upgrade. After 2 years, scenario will be different. So how we can have that incorporated or in our systems so that they get the exposure. And I feel just like an IT sector where Microsoft, Google and all, they were instrumental in creating certain standards to some extent. So in this, AVGC industry has come a long way with the kind of growth. So now is the time, that standardization, that's what we are talking about. And technology like blockchain, virtualization, especially in the kind of country where we are, virtualization infrastructure is very important. Very nice animators are sitting somewhere in the east, Guwahati and so some of them may be able to travel to certain places like Delhi or Bangalore, or some of them cannot, and they have the opportunity to work from home, no doubt. But the infrastructure is missing and the right training is missing. Yes. So right training is missing there. So, and what are the standards of those trainings? And the industry connect where, to minimize the gap, industry's involvement at deep down level from technology, from content creation, can happen very fast with the approach we all are taking now.
Very well said, Rajiv. Well, I'm recollecting almost 35 years back now when there used to be a sport time shootings in Delhi. And when I used to be part of those shootings, not as a spectator. And I used to note that our filmmakers are shooting cinema with old cameras. I mean, when you look at those cameras, they look like one dirty Russian machines. And that used to be kind of the cameras. And when I checked with, I still remember when I checked with the cameraman, he says this is Reflex. This is 20-year-old camera, which we bought second-hand from American company, and now it is a part of the hiring out facility company in Bombay from where we have hired this camera. I was shocked. I said, my God. I mean, thanks to our technicians who have used even those kind of cameras and given some of the best films to this nation and to the world of cinema. That's beside point. But in principle, I used to see, my God, what a shame that then I checked with the films, Orbo or Kodak, all those raw material which we used to use for cinema. Not even one single 36 roll, still camera roll we have ever created or manufactured in India. Even everything is imported. And then I made a list of the equipment. What are the kind of equipment we use in shooting a film or a television program? I realized not even one single equipment is manufactured, made in India. Everything is imported, and that's why making film was a very, very expensive procedure, method, or an exercise for Indian filmmakers. I mean, imagine we started from that angle to 1986 when I designed Film City, and when I went to government offices that we must have Film City first to have standards. I mean, standard was just one of these. Not that I was only worried about standard, but standard was one of the causes of when I prepared a project of Noida Film City. And though I wanted to have this Film City in New Delhi, but Government of India, Delhi Sarkar, LNDO, DDA, MCD, NDMC, they refused. They said, come on, we don't have a place like this. I mean, I was declared a madman because they could not even realize that to bring in some of the best standards of the world into media and entertainment industry, you need a place like Film City to exist in this part of the country. And the government, obviously we had one in Mumbai, we had one in Madras that time, and a very small, tiny business in Calcutta. That's the total film business we used to have those days as far as Film City is concerned. So imagine that even government was not totally aware of the standards in media and entertainment industry that time. We could not even realize that. From that to cut short, I can only say that today Noida Film City is the fastest growing film city in the world. This is a 100-acre complex with 75 acres outdoor, 25 acres indoor, 16 studios. Out of 16 studios, 350 channels are being broadcast to 162 countries, 24/7. And there are about 17,000 media professionals who are working there in 3 shifts of 8 hours each. And the cascading effect is there are approximately 150,000 people, they are earning their bread because of this film city. I'm very happy that I could spread the standards into this part, this segment of people. Now people are conscious. All those 17,000 people today who are working in, they're all trained expert, not only by AFT, but from different school, colleges, setups, backgrounds, small, tiny, big. But at least, thank God, they're trained. And that's the reason they are working here, even this one single complex. And if not, then I keep on poking nose into all these studios, the rest of the studios. I have one, there are 15 more. That please, in case you want to employ people, employ only trained people into this industry. then only you will be successful. And I'm very happy that slowly and gradually trained people, when they enter into this industry, they replace all those untrained people who are working in the industry. And I saw a tremendous change in training when all those 6 years, 10 years, 8 years trained people came back to the film schools to get at least short-term training so that all the fundas should get clear. They know why we are doing this, for what purpose. Because they were doing all those things without realizing that why they're doing all these things. So training became a very essential part of this industry, and I'm very happy that Shalini has kept this topic while deciding the composition of the program today. That's very nice. Well, back to Jai Kishan ji, another very important part of the industry. What is your idea, Jai Kishan ji?
Thank you for BIS and my co-practice in this state of Marg. So I belong to the news media industry.
Mike. Please speak into the mic.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. So thank you for this opportunity. So as you see, so the most glamorous part is the other part. News industry is always being neglected. There are multiple reasons. Right? So one instance I would say, just as Dr. Marg's famous film city had succeeded, right? So out of the 150,000 people who are working there, so 120,000 are from the news industry, right? The top 50 channels are in your film city. Your success comes from the news media industry, right? But unfortunately, our industry has the lack of skills. The existing skills has drawn down the industry to a very minimal level. For instance, I'll tell you, about 900 plus television channels in India, the largest segment, which is almost like 40%, is only news channels. Out of the 900 channels, you pay about the pay TV, which you subscribe. The largest channel which you don't subscribe, you get it free into your home, are news channels. News plays a very important part in your life. But is the industry surviving? Barely surviving. The first thing is, right now, one is, I would actually, don't take it personal, Dr. Marg, but the success also comes in perils with the copycats. I'll explain you why. Dr. Marg, when he started about 35 years back with standards, and his institution became famous, there are a lot of copycat institutions which came, right? But are they able to meet those standards and provide those kind of technicians or people or journalists what the industry requires? Number two, I'll tell you, the Indian IT industry, which is the second largest in terms of GDP contribution, right? So the largest is Indian Railways. So that's the size of the Indian IT industry. That gets the highest respect. But to hire one coding engineer, the IT industry needs to interview 19 people. Guess what in the media entertainment industry? Guess which is the news media industry? It's not 19, it's 60. We are 4 times tougher to get a screen person. There I will rest my case. So we need to have standards. Thanks to Dr. Marg and BIS. We have been striving to set standards in a lot of sectors. It's not only the 10, both related, non-related sectors. It's one of the largest employment creators today. But we need to start having standards right from the education to the work culture, and also what is there in other industries or other professions is the continuous learning. I would urge BIS also to look at reskilling certification and recognition of prior skills. We cannot let somebody with a 20-30 year experience go home without a job. But they have gained the experience and they have a lot many things to contribute to the industry and the next generation. Thank you, Dr. Marg.
Well, absolutely very right, Jai Kishan ji. You very well said, because it's such a easy-go-lucky to enter into this industry. Anyone who's got a mobile, he thinks he's a journalist. Fortunately or unfortunately, without even learning, and they think that they know the job. If they know how to operate mobile, they think they know the job, and they're the people who have started spoiling the industry. As you said, that for one real professional, they have to shortlist out of 20, and then you might get one who's appropriate and who can actually work. Because there is no death and life involved in this industry, unfortunately or fortunately. and social media has entered into the professional world so easily. It has got so beautifully amalgamated into that today if you have 950 channels, you have more than 100 news channels, you have 100,000 YouTube channels on news I'm talking about. Forget about the channels which every private people has started creating for themselves. That's a fun, that's necessary, do it. But you project yourself as a channel and you are only a YouTube channel and you have not even gone through a proper training, and this is what we have created, a digital media association. Luckily, all the people who they have nominated me the chair, and I wanted to be the chair there because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm now being nominated by the Ministry of Education. I'm on the board of AICT, and I requested them for the same problems. So immediately, Government of India created by Act of Law a new board of applied arts and crafts. So I'm there now. So I brought the same issue there. Then I'm on the board of Ministry of Skill Development. So I brought this issue there also. So in spite of hunting from one ministry to another, all the three ministry has put in the responsibility on my head, and I'm finalizing the level of the education in India in media and entertainment. And probably because this is just a piece of information for all of you, that AAFT is the case study in 27 countries of the world. It is also the case study in the new education policy, which you have just read. And I'm so happy because Government of India has recommended all the education setups of this country, school and colleges, to include all those things which we've been conducting for the last so many years, for 30 years. And I'm taking that pride. I'm feeling so happy and elevated because of this. And that means that there are a lot to be done when it comes to standard. We have created a committee, a special committee on education, media education in BIS, which I'm sure you remember that. And Shivanji right here, he can throw also some light. We have taken Ministry of Skill Development, rather Media and Entertainment Skill Council is a chair for that committee. And we are very serious about it. And the best part is that Mohit Soni, who's been a head of that department, that section, myself and we both sat together and we set the curriculum, the time duration, the minimum qualification, and not only of the education part, but of the so-called institution, as you said, that what they should possess to be called a setup for a media and entertainment skill body or training body. So there's a lot to be done actually. And I still remember we set three major standards which probably come in limelight slowly and gradually. Because when I got into media education, when I went to the Ministry of Education, Ministry of INB, they had nothing. They said, "Sir, jo karna karo, hamare paas kuch nahi hai tumhare paas." So I say, okay. But that means the whole responsibility came on my head that what should I present? So I studied all the foreign institutions and realized that what exactly they are delivering for so many years. So I have to be one better than them because I'm opening now. They are 40, 50, 60-year-old, 30-year-old, that time. And we try to be better than those schools. And that's the reason that today we've been rated as the first 10 best film schools of the world. There are three things where luckily we are number one in the world. Number one out of those three top points are the largest number of practical productions AAFT does. And because I know that it's a training on hand. बोला आप रीडिंग करके तो स्विमिंग नहीं सीख सकते ना, और आप रीडिंग करके तो घुड़सवारी नहीं सीखते, और आप रीडिंग करके तो है कार चलाना नहीं सीख सकते. You have to be on the job to learn. So what we did, we brought in lot of practical, real filmmaking into the training courses. The training courses should have been very expensive, but then we achieved the second very important thing, that we became the most cost-effective film school in the world. The kind of a training, for example, a 10 lakh course is being given to students for only ₹1 lakh. I mean, like 90% subsidy. So it's totally nation building, nothing else. So, and because I wanted people to come into this industry, learn well, do well, and go back to all these pundits. Let me finish this. Come back to all these pundits and never see a sad face. They should be instantly and immediately selected. And this is what happened, because out of 30,000 students what we have trained, you're right, sir, there are about 4,000 to 5,000 students are the one who have come back from the industry after being rejected after many years. Because when industry realized that what is the quality of a trained personnel, they realize, oh my God, I've been befooled by this boy for so many years. He didn't even know this. He doesn't even know ABC. So all those guys, thank God, they realized, they came back to us, did the short-term course of 300 hours, 3 months program, which is a 600-hour program. It's like a 1-year syllabus in 3 months for all those people. So they became fully trained and went back to the industry and again joined industry in a much bigger and a better way. Well, coming back to, I have a lot of points, but then yes, Ashok ji.
संदीप जी, आपने बहुत सही कहा कि स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन, एक्चुअली मेरे से गलती क्या हुई कि जो काम हो चुका है ना, मैं उसके बारे में क्या बोलूं, वो हो चुका है। संदीप जी ने मुझे बुलाया यहाँ पे और 20 साल पहले इन्होंने पहला डिग्री कोर्स चालू किया दुनिया में पहला। मैं यहाँ पे आया, आई वाज स्टन्ड कि ग्रेजुएशन वाज हैपनिंग
इंडिया में फर्स्ट,
इंडिया में नहीं सर, मुझे तो नहीं पता था दुनिया में कहीं पे भी है डिग्री नहीं है सर। कहाँ पे था?
नहीं था, है यूएस में, वो छोड़ दिया।
चलिए ठीक है, पर सिनेमा में नहीं था, मैस कॉम में रहा होगा।
सिनेमा अशोक जी नॉट डिस्कस था,
चलिए रहा होगा, पर इंडिया में FTI वाज द अल्टीमेट, वहां से हमको डिप्लोमा मिला। हमने 3 साल वहां पे रगड़े खाए और हमको एक कागज का डिप्लोमा मिला और इन्होंने डिग्री दी यहाँ पे। वो बहुत बड़ा अचीवमेंट था। तो हमारे सर पे ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आगे खड़ी हो गई थी, हाउ टू स्टैंडर्डाइज, बिकॉज यू हैव टू हैव अ सिलेबस फॉर अ ग्रेजुएशन कोर्स। तो व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग स्किल के अंदर हमने वो स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन ऑलरेडी अचीव कर लिया और उसको हम कंटिन्यूसली अपग्रेड करते जा रहे हैं और करते रहेंगे। दैट वी हैव डन। हम इनको सर, आपको, कन्वर्जिया सर को, शालिनी जी को और जितने भी प्रतिष्ठित लोग बैठे हैं, हम आपको बता रहे हैं कि सर स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन संदीप जी ने मीडिया एजुकेशन में जो किया हुआ है एक विषय के अंदर, और उसको तो जब तक कोई वो सिलेबस जाके नहीं देखेगा उसकी समझ में नहीं आएगा। वो काम हो चुके हैं। लेकिन मैं 1 मिनट लूंगा सर कि हमारी सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत क्या हो रही है इस वक्त कि ये कह रहे हैं कि यूट्यूब की चैनल खड़ी हो गई है, ये हो गया, बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं। अब कोई भी आदमी खड़ा हो जाता है, वो पिक्चर के बारे में बोलने लग जाता है और उससे क्या होता है कि जो देखने जाने वाला है वो डिमोटिवेटेड हो जाता है। हमारी बिजनेस इफेक्ट हो रही है। अगर आप कल को एक रेस्टोरेंट खोलो और वहां पे 100 वीडियो आ जाएगी, इसका खाना बकवास है, इसका बकवास, तो कौन जाएगा वहां पे? डेट्रीमेंटल ट्रेड प्रैक्टिस। तो दैट हैज टू बी स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड। एवरीबॉडी इज giving his opinion as the criticism of the picture. तो मतलब उसका भी स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन होना चाहिए ताकि वो सेंसर में भी इस्तेमाल किया जाए और क्रिटिसिज्म में भी इस्तेमाल किया जाए। धन्यवाद।
Yes,
I think we have done some work as far as online consumer reviews are concerned. We have recently formulated a standard which restrict all the speakers who give rating online without consuming the services or without using the product. So there was a one press conference also after release of this standard, and government is also thinking about making this standard mandatory. This IS 19,000 2022 is there, and government has already taken a note of that standard, and they have told that we are looking at the issue, and very shortly we will take some decision to make this standard compulsory for all the websites who are actually releasing the ratings of the products and services.
थैंक्स अ लॉट सर। मैं चाहूंगा सर आप मुंबई आए और प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करें। आप सरकारी अधिकारी हैं, अशोक की लाट जिसके साथ होती है उसका बहुत प्रभाव होता है सर। आप ये बातें वहाँ की करेंगे सर, तो ये जो बैठे हुए हैं, जो जिनकी जेब में एक सितारा भी नहीं है, वो सितारे बांट रहे हैं, तो उनके कंट्रोल। धन्यवाद।
ठीक है, that's also one very major point. When coming back to this, probably it's very important to tell you this is 2-3 things that AAFT has also become a case study in UCLA. By the way, just for your information, University of California, Los Angeles, and we became the case study there. And after that, Ministry of Education realized that whatever we are talking has some sense. We put 3-4 important things which we could bring in this standard part. Number one, that all those people who are trying to get into industry, please don't get into industry. Have your basic training. For that, we started 3 months courses first time in 1993. That if you don't have time, if you don't have much money, at least spend out 3 months, little money, train yourself, and then get back into the industry. You will be well received. And I'm very happy that only last week we have inaugurated our 117th batch of short-term courses. And many people, they realize that it is very important to get into training before getting into this thing. The second, obviously, as Ashokji very well said, not the world, but India. We are the first one in the country to bring media and entertainment education on a degree level, at the masters and the undergraduate. But then the third revolution which we brought into skilling and is all these film, television and media courses all over the world always been, or even mass communication, always been a MA. It used to be the master courses. That means you have to be a graduate first to enter into any of the media and entertainment. So I had to fight with the Ministry of Education because I said this rule applies in 1962 when the first premier film school, FTI, was opened in this country, and before that even Madras Film School. So they decided that the student should be intelligent enough, should be graduate to get into mass media, any of these disciplines, and then we will give them a master degree. So I made them realize that it's been 70 years or 65 years, 2003 I'm talking. That's enough. We have spent 65 years and we are trained. We have, that time we had around 180 channels. We have so many radio stations. We have so many newspapers. We have upgraded ourselves. So all these courses must be brought down to undergraduate. That means a graduate degree. And I'm very happy that we are first one in the country to start BA level courses. Otherwise, it used to be all masters. So students, they saved 3 years of their life. That's one other very important thing. And then another very important thing which we brought as a revolution in education is that Ministry of Education outright rejected our application of giving affiliation. When I went there, I said, what is the cause? What is the reason? I must know it. I'm ready to rectify. They say, no, look at your application form. It is incomplete. I said, my God, only application form. I can do it. Just retyping the application form to enroll yourself into AAFT. So what was the mistake? The mistake was that I never asked from a student his caste and creed. ना मैंने उनसे जाति पूछी, ना मैंने उनसे धर्म पूछा था. ये उस टाइम एक rejection point था. I'm very happy that after 3 or 4 or 5 years, people realized their mistake, and I was honored for National Integration, National Award at Manak Bhawan. Because that's the new thing which I started into the education system, that we need not to ask the religion and the caste of the student when they are at least entering into media and entertainment industry, because this is what this industry thinks about it, and I'm making a standard now. This is going to be a standard, at least to start within my industry. Yeah, and for this word, probably I'm once again take this wonderful opportunity to extend my heartiest thanks to all the panelists of this session. They spoke their heart out. They spoke something which was not known to all of us before. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for your patience here. Thank you.
So Mr. Jay Krishna. Okay, Rajiv Malik. Jai Krishna. Lovely mementos.
Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Madam Shah, for this opportunity. And I think we at BIS and we heard experts in the media and entertainment services, and we are also, updated on what activities are going on in this area. Standardization work in media and entertainment services is comparatively new activity for Bureau of Indian Standards. I think at international level also, if I would say that the standardization in services area is a less explored area, and being a national standard body of India, we have lots of responsibilities. We have a role for establishing a quality ecosystem in the country. So I don't know how many people know about Bureau of Indian Standards. So I will start with Bureau of Indian Standard. What Bureau of Indian Standard do? What is the role of Bureau of Indian Standard in the country? Yeah. Most of the people know about Bureau of Indian Standard with ISI mark. This is, I think, the oldest logo BIS has used, and we are still continuing with that because people know this, recognize this logo. Next. So, Bureau of Indian Standards is a national standard body of India under BIS 2016. What do you mean by national standard body? I think every country is having a national standard. So for India, BIS is a national standard body. What do you mean? What are the responsibilities as a national standard body? Is the making country standard. Like we are making Indian standards. We are publishing Indian standards, and there are committees, sectional committees working, for standardization activities under the mandate given in BIS 2016. So this organization was established in January 1947. We started working, 6th January, even before the independence. So it's a very old organization. Dr. Lal C. Varman was our first director of ISI. It was earlier name was Indian Standard Institution, ISI. This is how the logo has come from. So ISI is the Indian National Institute. After BIS Act was introduced and passed by the government, then it becomes Bureau of Indian Standard and the national standard body of India. So India is a founder member of ISO and ISI. You see, the international standardization activities are done at ISO and IEC. ISO is generally dealing with the subjects which are other than electrotechnical field, and ITU is also one of the organizations dealing with the communication sector. So we are the founder member of ISO and IEC. Next. Major activities are standardization and then conformity assessment against those standards which are formulated as Indian standards. So what type of certification we are running? Product certification, system certification, foreign manufacturer certification scheme also. That means if somebody wants to take a certification from India, they want to export their material into India, they have to take the certification in case of mandatory products. So there is a scheme for foreign manufacturers also, and there is a registration scheme. This is a new concept of certification. This is self-declaration of conformity as per the standard, and there is no, visit is required, verification is required. Only a manufacturer has to register based on the basis of their testing facilities and conformity certificate of their product. So most of the items covered under this scheme is, the electronic item, like your laptops, your TV screens, TV, like that. Your mobile phones. All mobile phones are, under mandatory compulsory registration scheme of the items. So any imported or even manufactured in India, all phones are to be, registered with European standards. Then apart from that, hallmarking, you must have heard, hallmarking in gold and silver. This scheme is very popular these days. You must be, aware that the hallmarking is now made mandatory in India. Then we have laboratory services. Laboratory services to support our certification schemes. Testing of products to, whatever we certification schemes are being. And then we have a training facility also. We are having a full-fledged training center at Noida. And we are conducting so many courses, in different sectors to educate and train the people. And we are also organizing number of lead assessor courses and management system. Next. BIS is working in almost all the areas. There are 16 division councils established by Bureau of Indian Standards. So we are working in 16 areas. Structure is comprising of division councils. We are having 16 division councils under which the technical committee works. Technical committees are 381 approximately. This changes, with time. And subcommittees, 199 subcommittees are there who are working in the specific areas. And then panels, 586 panels of experts are there in the different sectors, in different domain areas, who are actually writing these standards. Panels are responsible for initial P draft, that is preliminary draft writing of the standards. So this is the way we work. About 22,000 standards, Indian standards are published, which are, product specifications, method of test, service standards also, system certification standards also, and the code of practices, guidelines, safety standards, terminology standards. So all sort of standards are covered under this 22,000 Indian standards. So these standards are, we try, through the committee, that the standards follow the international practices in development of Indian standards. So we are participating at the international level also. We are regularly participating in ISO, IEC technical committees, their subcommittees and working groups. Next. So BIS has a presence all over India. You will see that we are having 43 branch offices, 8 laboratories, 3 referral laboratories for hallmarking, and then there's a National Institute of Training for Standardization at Noida. We have headquarters, this is headquarters of Bureau of Indian Standards. Then we are having 5 regional offices also in Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Mumbai, and Chandigarh. Next. Now, this is something which I wanted to highlight here. What is standard? We heard a lot of things about standard today. What is standard? I think standards are prepared at different levels. Like Mr. Pant also said that there are individual standards, there are company standards, there is an association. Association also makes standards. There are standards followed by a particular sector made by the industry association. And then there national, regional standards are there, then national and international. So standard is this is the definition of the standard, and it is a worldwide international definition and worldwide acceptable. This is a document established by consensus and approved by the recognized body. I think this needs to be approved by the recognized body, like the national standard body of that country. Then it becomes the standard of India, or it is a standard of Finland, or it is a standard of Russia, or so that is the difference. That what standard provides for the common and repetitive rules, guidelines, characteristics for the activities or the results aimed at achievement of the optimum degree of order in a given context. This is slightly complex way of writing it, but in nutshell, it's a document which provides you the requirements, maybe guidelines, or sometimes references for definitions. Definition standards are also there. So all sort of standards are covered in a document which is called standard. So in India, we follow the concept of consensus. Consensus means that means general agreement. That is the absence of sustainable opposition. We try to resolve the issues through discussion before arriving at any decision where there are difference of opinion. Next. So these are the areas where we work. There are technical division councils are there for each area. For each sector, like chemical, civil engineering, electronics and information technology, electrotechnical, food, agriculture, management system. You see any topic, anything, we are into it. All entire industry is covered under standardization by BIS. New area is the services sector. Services sector is a new area. If you see that standardization focus earlier was on the product certification, the product standards only. Now the focus is also on the standardization activities and services. If you see India's GDP, 53% contribution comes from the services sector. And government has, has taken a note of it, and they have identified that these areas need focus. Okay. And the work of standardization is given to BIS, and Ministry of Commerce is also looking after the growth of sectors, and they are also facilitating how they can improve further and enhance their capabilities and bring more revenue. Next. So these are the 12 champion sectors. You know that there are 12 champion services sectors. There is one division council, service sector division council, dealing with these 12 services sectors for standardization work. So the scope of this division council is to formulate Indian standards on 12 champion services sectors and other related areas, and also to coordinate with the concerned international technical committees of ISO and ICE. At present, there are 20 sectional committees under this division council, and one of our committee is Media and Entertainment Services Section Committee. SSB under the chairmanship of Dr. Marg. And this committee is responsible to formulate standards in the area of media and entertainment services. And BIS has the mandate to publish those standards which are formulated by this section. Next. So what is the process? How we go ahead with this? I mean, it is not that only committee, sit together and 15, 20, 25 members, attend this meeting and formulate this standard. It is not that. So what is there? We have the stakeholders. In each sectional committee, in each technical committee, we have the stakeholders represented by the government, regulators, industry, laboratories, R&D institutes, consumers, academia, and experts. Experts may be in individual capacity also. So, if we talk about any sectional committee, the representative from all these stakeholders would be there. If there is nobody there and representing that sector, we make the effort that those experts and those officials should be available for participation in standardization. Next. So this is the process for standard formulation. Anybody can give the proposal for the subject. Any proposal comes that goes to the sectional committee, and after the approval, preliminary draft is prepared by the expert, and then it goes to wide circulation for public comment. Now, committee has done the work, but still we want that there should be a wide circulation so that the stakeholders who are not directly involved here in making that draft standard, they should also know that this particular draft is being formulated for standard formulation, and they should also make their comments. They should also provide their inputs on the standard, and after resolving that, we go for publication stage. Next. So we have international presence also at ISO level as far as service sector is concerned. As we said, this founder member, BIS is a founder member of ISO and IEC. We have produced, two ISO presidents in 1965 to 67, Mr. Jahangir J. Gandhi and Dr. D.C. Kothari. And apart from that, we are the member of ISO Council also from January 2022 to 2024. We are P members, participating members in 502 sectional committees, O members in 181 and 181 in TCs and subcommittees in ISO. Then we have P member on 121 and O member on 61 technical committees and sectional committees and IEC. Yeah. The ordinary is this is observing members. Observing. Participating members have the obligation to cast the vote. They have the ballot system for each and everything. They go for balloting and based on the vote casted, decision is taken. So a lot of lobby and other things that needs to be done when you are at international level for standardization. So recently BIS has also hosted one of the technical committee meeting of OLCO in India in May 2023. So we are attending the meeting outside the country as well as we are hosting also number of meetings of sectional committees, technical committees, subcommittees and working. Next. In order to support the standardization activity, we are and promoting the standards. The standards should reach to the concerned. We are doing a lot of other work also. One of the important work is BIS has signed MOUs with the reputed institutions. These are the IITs are there, and then if you see the Media and Entertainment Skill Council is also there. So the advantage is that you can utilize their expertise in standardization work, and we can promote the standards which are already published. These standards are also used as a educational material for the students. Next please. So importance of standardization, I would request the gathering today, and if you have expertise, if you have some domain area where you have the expertise to come and contribute in standardization work of the committee. This is very important in every forum because this is a new area for standardization. Now, not only in India, at international level also, if you find that no ISO standard available right now. So it's a new area. We can take a lead in this if all experts come together, we sit together, we discuss, and we may formulate these standards. So I request all the experts who are interested, who have the expertise to come and contact BIS. We will certainly look after the interest of the country and take their services in making standards in this. So BIS has also started one of the new things, that is research and study. Anything which we take for standardization, we go for study and research. So this is recently started, and we have about to give some subject for research also. This will help us to give a complete idea about what is happening in this area in the country or abroad. What are the best practices? What are the best methodologies? So this is all about Bureau of Indian Standards, and now I think Shiv Soni will tell you what we have done in Media and Entertainment Services Section Committee and what we have planned to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the nice presentation. So, a very good afternoon to you all. I am Shivam Soni, Scientific Assistant Director, and managing this committee as a member secretary. So I'll give a brief about what are the subjects that you have taken up in this committee and what are the standards that we have published so far. So starting from the scope of this committee, if you see, we have covered almost every aspect of this media entertainment services. So this scope, as I read it out, the standardization is the field of services provided by media entertainment service providers, offering services in the area of television, films, out-of-home services, over-the-top OTT, radio, animation and visual effects, music, gaming, digital advertising, print media, live events and other related areas. And also, if you see on the note, we have included motion pictures and videotape production, distribution services, motion picture projection services, radio and television transmission services, sound recording and other related services. So coming to the structure of this committee, so we have total 10 subcommittees under this main committee. Starting from the education and skill development, we have a separate session on that already. So if I brief about this committee, then we can see we are covering in this subcommittee every aspect of services, including training modules, requirements and evaluations, qualification requirements, competence of trainers, personal requirements, basic infrastructure, facilities, quality and safety parameters, management systems as well. Next, we have the cinema services subcommittee SSD 13-2. In this, we are covering services related to booking facilities, training and skilling requirements of manpower, environmental factors, facilities, safety, quality, complaint redressal, crowd and theatre management and other related services. Then we have print media services subcommittee. In this, we are covering services including competence requirements of personnel in print media, contractual requirements, services provided by print media services, and other related services. Next, we have radio services subcommittee. In this, we are covering standards related to radio stations, studio equipments, software requirements, basic amenities like personal skilling, training, coverage area, transmitting antenna patterns, and other related services. Next, we have event management services subcommittee. This subcommittee is very important. Recently, we have published one Indian standard on this sustainable management system for event management services. So I'll come to that later. If I share the scope of this subcommittee, then it includes pre-event planning, operational activities, post-event services, manpower training and skilling, quality and safety, and other related aspects for various types of events like weddings, social events, corporate events, etc. Then we have a television and OTT services subcommittee. It covers areas in the field of content generation, content delivery including transmissions, content distributions, including end consumer devices, including areas like content technical quality, interoperability, legacy content management, etc. Then we have new media services. It covers areas including social media platforms, animation, gaming, virtual and augmented realities, blogs and others for aspects related to common terminology and definitions. Then we have a sound and music services subcommittee, SSB 13.8. So in this subcommittee, we are in the process of making standards on data formats for sound and music metadata. So there we are identifying some identifiers from which we can address the copyright issues, who is the correct owner of that particular production. Similarly, we have advertising subcommittees and television rating subcommittees. Next. Next. Yeah. So these are the 5 standards that we published in this main committee, starting from Indian Standard 18225/2023. This is recently published and already talked about Dr. Sandeep Mawa sir. That here we have done the categorization of programs offered by skill development service providers, and I will list out a few things about this standard. So this standard has been prepared to standardize the categorization of programs offered by skill development service providers, so as to clear any ambiguity arising out of various types of programs being offered, and it is done on the basis of these parameters, starting from nature of the program, skill level imparted, and the duration of the program. Next, we have Indian Standard 18234. It talks about the categorization of events and value and also the vocabulary. Then we have 3 ISO standards that we have adopted in this committee after analyzing by the members of this committee. So first one is the ISO 25639 Part 1 and 25639 Part 2. These are the 2 standards. This is for exhibitions, shows, fairs and conventions. This is a vocabulary standard. And the Part 2 is talks about the measurement procedures for statistical purposes. And the last standard that we have published is very important, event sustainability management systems. So as you know that this is also an event, and events are, we have to maintain the safety requirements, we have to see the sustainability aspect. So that's why we have prepared this standard and we have adopted this standard. And it is in the line with the quality management system standard, ISO 9001. So it includes that we should think about the sustainability policy whenever we are doing an event. We should have a stakeholder engagement. That means that we engage all the stakeholders involved in the event, including organizers, vendors, suppliers, participants, etc. Then we must see the environmental impact assessment across the event. Wherever we are doing the event, we need to see that the waste generation from the event is well organized, the greenhouse gas emissions, biodiversity considerations. Similarly, we need to do the communication and education through that. We should have a documented procedures for doing this event. So So these are the things that are covered under this standard. Next. And these are the standards that we are that are in the working draft stage. So if you see in the subcommittee education and skill development, we have this standard on general services requirements. So this is under preparation and this is almost completed. So we will be sharing this draft with the committee members and finally it will be published as a standard. Next we have cinema theatre standard general service requirements. This is coming under cinema services subcommittee. Then we have standards for equipment related to community radio stations and also the commercial radio stations. So this standard is also very important and is recently we have finalized the working draft and will be working for his wide circulation and feed draft. Then we have standard on closed captioning. So this comes under television and OTT services. So here we are making standard on the captioning that we see during movies or during content shows. So there we need to finalize what are the captioning requirements, what are the sizes of that, the captions and what are the those things are covered. Then we have standard on new media services. Here we are making the vocabulary of on this new media services. And last we are working on the vocabulary of sound and music services. So these are the standards that are currently under development. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much.